Hey, we are happy to be back. Thrilled to be back with you after a week off. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. That's Barrett. That's Derek. I'm Rob. We're hanging out with you. 3 hours of power each and every single day. All right, guys. So let's just run through for, there's a lot of movement here with who left, who's back, who's new, all those kind of things from an Eagles standpoint. But let's hit it this way. Who's back? Brandon Graham, Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, which we'll get into in a second. Boston Scott, James Bradbury, Darius Slay with an extension, not that he was a free agent. Rashad Penny, newcomer. Greedy Williams, newcomer. Marcus Mariota, newcomer. Leaving, Javon Hargrave, TJ Edwards, Marcus Epps, Kaiser White, Miles Sanders, Andre Dillard, Isaac Seumalo, Gardner Minshew, and CJ Gardner-Johnson. I think I hit all of them. Am I missing anybody off of your guys' top of the head?
No.
Okay. So that's the main coming and going. Let's start with the positives with the guys who are either coming back or new to the team. I think we knew these before we left for our time away, but Brandon Graham, comes back at a nice price for the Eagles at $6 million. Jason Kelsey got paid. He got more than he got last year. I'm thrilled he's
14,
back.
Yeah,
14 plus for Kelsey. Fletcher Cox got 10. That felt a little high to me.
I agree.
I don't think so.
I thought it was going to be 7-ish, Barrett.
That's what I thought.
Who's our best right now? Who's our best defensive tackle?
Him.
He is.
Yeah.
But that ain't saying a whole lot.
What do you mean? Fletcher Cox is a starter.
Come on, man. Hold up, B. Brooks. Fletcher Cox is not the player he was 4 or 5 years ago, bro.
Well, if he was the player he was 4 or 5 years ago, he'd be making 24, 25 like the kid from Washington.
But if they had moved on from him and drafted another D tackle, I would have been fine with that as well.
I would have been also. But right now they need Fletcher Cox.
Well, they need Brandon Graham. They need Kelsey. They need,
But also, they're gonna look at what guys are getting these days. Look at the tackle that got paid that went to the Texans.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the caliber of Fletcher Cox, and got big money. It's just the nature of what's going on in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
That position is paying more than safety and corner.
That's what I was going to say. You see it you see what little running backs get. You see what little safeties get.
Although your boy got paid, Ducey hooked him up.
Yeah, Miles Sanders got a nice deal.
25 over 4.
Yeah, I frankly they overpaid, and I like him. I don't dislike him, but he's overpaid for the position that he plays. But anyway, yeah, you're right, Barrett. There's a couple of exceptions here and there, but that was that was a biggie here. But I get it. Like Fletcher kind of hit free agency at the right time, and guys departed, which made it, I guess, him more of a priority. But that still feels a little heavy for me as far as that goes. Rashad Penny's an interesting case here. When healthy, really good. I mean, really good when he's healthy. But he's hurt a lot. He's been hurt a ton in his career. So 18 games in the last 3 years is all he's played.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 2 years, he's averaged 6.2 yards per carry, and he's rushed for over 1,000 yards with very limited, opportunity because he's missed time. That's 8 touchdowns too on top of that. And he's only 27.
Mm-hmm.
This all comes down to this guy staying healthy. I mean, for whatever Miles was last year, and Miles had a real good year. He got in the end zone a lot, and he played every game. This is a little bit of a risk with Rashad Penny. Super cheap, but got to stay healthy.
He's a big back at 220 pounds. And the thing I like most about him is he runs hard. He runs hard, he breaks tackles, and he has a second gear. He can run away from people. But
I don't know about that.
Rashad Penny can run away from people now. I'm not saying he's as fast as Miles Sanders.
Right.
But I've seen him separate when he gets to that second level. And he'll punish you as well. My only concern is how many games are you going to have him for? What did he have? A broken fibula? He only played 5 games last year. Was it a broken fibula, if I'm not mistaken?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe he broke his leg. Yeah,
and that's a tough injury to come back from. I don't care how you look at it. You can talk about putting steel rods here and all this stuff. That's a tough injury to come back from. I look at the Eagles' backfield situation right now. I like it but I don't love it. And as I said like weeks ago, Kenny Gainwell is going to be your lead back. Now, when I said people lost their minds, well, is that the feature back? There's no such thing as a feature back in an Eagles backfield. You know, the lead back is when push comes to shove, he's going to be the one they're going to count on the most. But it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get the most carries game in and game out, as we've seen from the Doug Peterson era through the Nick Sirianni era. You know,
well, right now they're not going to. They won't be. It won't be like Miles Sanders was the closest we've had to a feature, a feature back that we've had in the past.
Agreed.
Maybe 6 years. The first time in the last 6 years we've had a featured back. He was a feature, like it or not, he was a feature back. Towards the end, he wasn't. But you're right, D-Gun. This is not. It's not a bell cow back system.
Right.
You know, so
can you believe he's agreed with me twice in less than an hour?
This is obviously
we must have been gone.
There was some counseling during the week away. Hey, the Phillies have released Mark Appel, the reliever who got a great opportunity last year, battled back from mental health issues and years in the minors, and it's a shame. It's the reality of the business. Unfortunately, he's been released by the Phillies.
He's a hard thrower.
Yeah, you know, I hope he catches on somewhere. Yeah, he actually, it's interesting. A couple of days ago, he put out this post saying, you know, this is probably my last year in the big leagues. I'm up against the clock. I'm 31 years old. I'm in the minor leagues. It's going to be really tough for me. Maybe he saw the writing on the wall. I wish the guy all the best, no matter what happens. He seems like an incredibly classy guy who's overcome a lot. So wish him all the best. Anyway, back to the Eagles and a couple other things. So, you know, no small feat, guys. You bring back a double-digit sack artist in Graham. You bring back the best center in the game in Jason Kelce. Fletcher Cox had 7 sacks from the defensive tackle position. You bring back a really good depth running back in Boston Scott. Both of your corners are back when it didn't look like there was any chance Bradbury and Slay were going to be back. So let's go into this for a minute. The Slay thing was bizarre. So he's given permission to seek a trade because they couldn't. Eagles wanted him to either take a cut or take an extension. He didn't want to do it initially. Okay, he's tweeting out, "I'm gone." Basically, his wife, "Thank you, Philadelphia. Bye." You know, all this other stuff. So we go through this whole thing, and then we start to, in dribs and drabs, the reports, "Hey, don't quite close this door yet on Slay." Like, oh, okay, maybe not. And then all of a sudden, back like I never left. Here comes the tweet from Slay, and he agrees to an extension. And he's back. Is this another situation where you test the market, you dip your foot in the pool, and it's a little too cold for you?
Yeah, it was cold. Yeah, it was cold.
That's not a heated pool.
Well, the initial problem was I found out Slay wanted 3 years guaranteed. Now, first of all, that's bad business to give a 32-year-old cornerback 3 years of guaranteed money. I don't care how you look at it. You know, there are no Deion Sanders out there anymore. Who are just a phenomenal, exceptional athlete. You know, Howie Roseman is as good of a businessman as he is and as smart of a businessman. He can also be shrewd when he has to. You know, and that was laughable to think that he wanted 3 years guaranteed. Now, you don't know what you're worth unless you ask for it. And that's anything you do in life. You know, and I don't blame him for asking for 3 years guaranteed. But they couldn't realistically have thought the Eagles were going to buckle to that. Now, if he was like 27, 28, maybe they would have considered it a little bit more. But at 32, I don't think so. You know, and we saw a few kinks in the armor as the season wore on last year. We talked about it throughout the latter part of the season and the playoffs that Slay was not that same guy who was playing the way he was playing the first half of the season. Is Father Time catching up to him? I don't know. You know, I don't know how hard he pushes himself, what he trains like, but obviously from an organizational standpoint, that had to be taken into consideration. You know, we're not giving a guy 3 years guaranteed. Now, Slade and his wife tried to put it out there, fake news. No, it wasn't fake news. Basically, you guys just had to eat a little crow and be a little bit more responsible about what you were asking for. You asked for it, you didn't get it. Take what you can get and run with it. Now, you have a better chance of winning here than you do anywhere else than you might have considered to go. You know, maybe one or two of the teams have legitimate chances. And the same thing with Bradbury, you know, and this is just my opinion. My opinion is Bradbury tested the market, and I would imagine most of the teams that were offering him money are teams that are in rebuilding modes, like the Houstons, like the Chicagos. Chicago had almost $100 million in cap space.
Right.
Now, if I'm James Bradbury, 30 years old, and I got within 3 points of winning the Super Bowl, do I want to go back to a team that's starting over? And by the time they get to where they might want to be, it's time for me to exit the league. I want a chance to get that ring. I haven't won a ring. This team gives me the best chance to get back there when you stacked up the Eagles against the rest of the NFC. Gives me the best chance to get back there and possibly win a championship.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing right there,
Yeah.
It's comfort here. And like I said before, man, this is a destination place for veteran free agents because how they take care of their guys here. I mean, if I'd have played here, I'd still be playing right now at 50 years old. If I had this cake, camps and everything like they have with the Eagles. Now I understand, everybody's probably doing the same thing, but not to the level of the Eagles. They take care of the guys that are older, a little longer in the tooth. They make sure that these guys are healthy enough to go into the game. I talked about it for years, you cannot go into a season and not practice as much as you practice. How do you harden your body? So you need calluses on your hands, from beating your body up. Well, they showed me altogether different. You don't need all of that. They shown it that, you can get to the Super Bowl with a cake schedule. I mean, not a cake schedule, but a cake practice schedule. You can do it, man. And they did it. They were outstanding this year. They were just healthier than everybody else. To go into this playoff season with everybody accountable, with the exception of Derek Barnett, is unheard of.
Absolutely.
Unheard of.
Yep. Yeah.
That was
I mean,
crazy.
reason number 1,580, it kills that they didn't win the Super Bowl because everything's sort of set up just perfectly for you. So let me just real quick, just to put a bow on this, Barrett. So is your thought that Avante goes back to safety, Greedy plays the corner? Is that how you view this thing?
That's what I view.
Okay.
Or you flip-flop them. You put Greedy at safety and Avante back at that slot corner.
Okay.
I would say Avante stays a slot.
Well, it's also a possibility that the guy that's going to play opposite of Reed Blankenship is not in our locker room yet.
True.
Yeah.
True.
We didn't get CJ GJ until almost into camp.
Mm-hmm.
We were almost into camp. We didn't get Bradbury until the summertime.
Yeah. The thing that people don't realize is how late things happened last year, and B, Howie is not. He's very patient. And the other thing I think he likes to see is once these guys get into OTAs and in the early goings in camp, you may see, all right, we're not good enough here. Like we got to figure something out at this position. They may do that. I know after the draft, people want the rosters to be finalized. It rarely works that way.
No.
He's a late mover.
Well, who's to say the Eagles won't use one of those first 2 picks to take a safety? They don't do it. They don't do it. Right. The only safety I like out there was Antonio Johnson. He's the only one.
Yeah.
But he may not be on the board. I can't see them using that 10th pick if they stay in the 10 hole at safety.
No,
that's not to say they won't use that 30th pick, or if they drop down to the second round, if he's on the board, they may take him there if he was still on the board. But I wouldn't put it past them to use one of those high picks to take a safety. Now,
I'm just saying this, Derek.
Yeah.
I cannot see them getting a secondary player right now at that 10th pick. If it's either
you're right,
it's either defensive lineman, or they're going to trade out of that slot.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because they got all these DBs. To me, it wouldn't. I mean, I'm not going to say that because I can remember but that was a totally different regime. But they had Bobby Taylor and what's his name in the office now, Troy Vincent. And Troy Vincent. Then they drafted those 2 kids that became, Lito Shepherd and them. And they became, 1 or 2 as far as, the best tandem corners we've had in a long time. You know what I'm saying? So, I've seen them do something like that before. But the likelihood of them getting a corner or even I can't see them doing a safety, but getting a corner back in the first round now.
I think corner's possible. I do. I believe corner's possible.
Still think it is?
In the first round,
with them bringing Greedy in, I don't think it is
now.
With them bringing Greedy in, I don't think they're gonna. I don't think a corner's that high on the priority list now.
Maybe, Derek. I know that. I mean, they're old. Both of the corners are getting older now. Look, it's possible. I think they would have to be someone they loved, sort of fell into their lap. I think it's look, you always, when you're talking about the Eagles in the draft, always start with the interior and the defensive line and the offensive line.
Yep.
Because here's the other part of this thing. You've lost a lot of depth. Dillard goes, Sayamalu goes. I know you're plugging Juergens in, but eventually I know we, think he's going to play forever, but Kelsey's not. You're getting thin there a little bit.
No, not getting thin. You're very thin.
Yeah, you're thin. And then defensive line, think about this. You're going to be Jordan Davis is going to have to, step up, obviously. So is Milton Williams, but you don't have the rotation you once had.
No.
There either. And we know how much, and I think Desai is going to continue that. That's just the organizational philosophy of just crank guys in and out, keep them fresh. That's how they got that many sacks. Not only are those guys talented, it's because they weren't gassed at the end of the year. So I would still look at defensive and offensive line too.
And the way they like to build that team, see, that's why I say Jalen Carter is the prime option for this team. If he clears himself, I think the Eagles would jump on him. If everything is cleared on him in terms of what he's dealing with right now, I wouldn't be surprised if he's considered the premier pass rusher out there. And considering there's a possibility that 4 quarterbacks could be taken in the first 9 picks, why wouldn't you take him?
I'm a little worried about him. And it's not just the car thing, which is very serious. 2 people lost their lives. But, he shows up at his pro day 9 pounds overweight from where he was at the combine and couldn't finish drills. Like, dude, how serious are you taking your craft? I don't know, man. There's a couple red flags on Jalen Carter. I'm a little worried.
I'll say this. If he makes it to 10, he won't make it past 11.
I hear you, Barrett. Yeah, I'm just telling you, I got a couple little alarms that went
Well,
off.
you know what? But see, the Eagles locker room is the best locker room for him. Yeah. That's why you have the Fletcher Cox, the Brandon Grahams. And they could handle him in the way he needs to be handled. They had the same type of notions about, our first rounder last year, his ex-teammate. So I can't see him coming into this locker room and not being in the best shape he's going to be in because those guys are going to get on him.
Right.
He will be in shape going into camp. They will make sure Jordan Davis will let him know as soon as he comes in, bro, I came in with the same problem. And they're going to make sure you coming in shape. Just like we had worries about Jordan Davis, even after he got hurt, he came in and looked just as good then, as he did when he started the season off with being in shape. He didn't gain all that weight because they take stuff like that serious. And Fletcher Cox and BG will make sure this locker room can handle a guy like him. They can handle him as far as, being a nutcase, anything. You know what I'm saying? We know how to calm people down. We didn't know half the stuff that CJ DJ did, if he did anything.
Sure.
We still don't know. But
kept it. If there was something going on, I'm not saying it was.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he, was anything other than the model citizen when he was here. But you don't get those type of things happening in this locker room because they know how to keep things amongst themselves and police themselves.
Well, not only that, but if they brought a Jalen Carter in here, you're putting him right back in the thick of things with his boys, N'Kobe Dean, Jordan Davis. It would be a natural transition for him in terms of him getting comfortable. Then he's got, like Barrett said, you got the big brother mentality. You got some of the best big brothers you could possibly have on that side of the ball in Fletcher, in Brandon Graham, even Hassan Reddick. So you've got a good support group to put around him. If he is as talented as everybody says he is, and the way this team likes to build the team from the inside out in the trenches on both sides of the football, you can't pass that dude at number 10. There's no way you pass him, especially because you don't know what Derek Barnett's going to be like when he comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah. That dude's coming off ACL. That's not easy to come back from. Some dudes do. Some dudes never regain what they had before that.
Well,
he won't make it to 11.
Well, one of the things the Eagles, and Howie admitted as much, he made a mistake after the Super Bowl victory over the Patriots in Super Bowl 52. He said, I probably got a little too sentimental in bringing guys back. Do you find any of the guys, the older guys who were brought back, like Brandon Graham, like Cox, like Kelsey, whomever, that they brought back to be bordering on the too sentimental? Like, I think they're all still quality players. Like, I think they probably overpaid Fletcher a little bit, but for all the reasons we just discussed, you could justify it. Like, Kelsey's still the best at his position. BG's an 11 sack guy. Like, I don't see it. I personally don't. I mean, you're not a young team with obviously with these guys coming back, but I'm okay with the vets coming back that they brought back.
Yeah, this is not oh, you know what I'm saying, we're bringing these guys back for sentimental value. No, they brought Fletcher Cox back because you look at the free agent market. He was the best free agent out there in the market as far as defensive linemen that were available.
Mm-hmm.
They brought him back because he could still play.
Right.
He's still the best defensive lineman on our team right now at the defensive tackle position. So that's why they brought him back. Now, when they overpaying him, I don't care what they pay him because, number one, Howie's doing all that. It's not my checkbook. So whatever's clever with that. If Howie can get it under the cap, hey, I don't mind. When I look at BG, still a talented guy, still a locker room guy, but they brought him back at a number you couldn't refuse it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're not paying him some outlandish money. So, like I said, good job, Howie. But what he brought was he's playing better now than he did 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I'm saying? He's playing great right now. We're talking about the best center in the league. Kelsey is still the best center in the league.
Right.
So that was a no-brainer to bring it back. They might have overpaid him a little bit, but you know what I'm saying? Even, he paid 12 last year, he's making 14 this year. But it's not my checkbook. I ain't got to, do anything about that. So
no, Barry, you're right, but it affects how you can maneuver with the cap.
Absolutely. But
that's
why Howie gets paid the big bucks. That's why Howie was executive of the year in the NFL. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of a big deal right now. So if he can do it, so be it. So these weren't like sympathy sign backs or, hey, we got you. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna give you one last. No, these guys are still productive.
Mm-hmm.
And what they bring to the table.
If Brandon Graham was playing 65% of the snaps, I would definitely say it's a sentimental bring back. But because he's only playing about 37%, it's a perfect role for him at age 35. Now, he'll be 35 when the season starts this fall.
Right.
For what he's asked to do, and he ended up being a double-digit sack guy in Jonathan Gannon's defense, it's not, you got $6 million for a guy who is double-digit in sacks, even if he is 35. That's not bad money nowadays for a guy who's done what he's done in his league. To be with one team 14 years tells you what they think about him, not just as a player, but as a person, as a leader in that locker room, as a mentor in terms of showing young guys how to conduct your business, keep your nose clean, stay out of the media limelight for negative reasons. He is the perfect instrument for that. Bringing Brandon Graham back was not just about football. It's about a lot of different things that he gives that organization. And obviously, Brandon jumped at the opportunity to come back because he's told us, as well as he's told many people, he wants to finish his career here. It wasn't about his money. Brandon Graham stuck to his word because Detroit and Cleveland were hot and heavy after him. He could have gone there, finished out his career, and played for a lot more money. Even if it was on a 1 or 2 year deal, he could have got a lot more money in those places. But he wants to stay here in this culture and see if he can help. What did he say recently when it was announced? I want to try to win a Super Bowl with that dude, Jalen Hurts.
Right.
That says it in a nutshell.
Yes.
It's not about dollars and cents with him.
Absolutely.
Well said.
He can still play. He can still mix it up. Even bringing back Slay. Slay is still one of the top. He's a top 5 corner in the league. Like it or not, way he played towards the end of the season, it doesn't dictate how good he is. You know what I'm saying? He is still a good, very good corner. He's still one of the top corners in the league. Yeah. Right now.
All right, let's get a quickie here, and we'll come back. We'll dig into some of the departures a little bit more. CJ, GJ among them, but there were others, Hargrave, et cetera. So we'll get into what they lost and just try to measure, okay, where is this team from where the season ended and where are they headed? We'll do all that when we come back again. A little later, Sixers playing unbelievable basketball right now, and Joel Embiid is just straight up on fire. So we'll get into all those kind of things when we come back. Don't go anywhere. That's Derek. That's Barrett. I'm Rob. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I want to tell you about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group because, look, you know what a challenge it is to invest your money with the right people. You work too hard to let it go to waste and just to blow it all, right? And you want to make sure you're taking care of for the future. Your kids are taking care of your family, et cetera. I found the right person in Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review. You might have a small business that you need help with, your employee benefits, kind of getting them off the ground. Jim can help you with any of those kind of resources and then some. All right. I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollover to Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be too. Give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751. You could also email him as well, Murray, MURRAY .Jim@principal.com. That's Murray.Jim@principal.com.